Alright, at this point I went 5-0, guys. 5-0, my first 5-0 in any challenge that I went to. My third challenge, actually. I went to 1 regional and 2 premier challenges. I went 5-0 today, which was such a huge accomplishment for myself. So at this point when I made the top cut, I kind of had the mentality of saying to myself, hey, if I don't do well, if I lose in the first round, I'm not going to be too upset because I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and that was just making it to top cut. I made it into top cut and went 5-0 overall to put the cherry on top. And at this point, I was like, if I lose, it don't really matter. But I shouldn't have had that mentality because I did have the potential to win. But Lauren just had such a very good team, and the Gastrodon presented such a huge threat. As you see, she does bring it to every single match. Considering the fact that I have a competitive Melodic, that is such a good Pokemon to have on that team, because Melodic, Threat, and Salamence pretty much outright beats it. And the Gastrodon, having a Gastrodon on a team really does help, because it gets the Storm Drain ability. And, ooh, excuse me, it just basically does so much work to any other Pokemon, and it's so bulky. She had the Citrus Berry on it. Now, I'm going to get right into this battle because we're going to have 2 of them. And me and Lauren played a lot. We played 3 matches overall in the entire day out of the 8 matches that I did play. And I kind of figured that she wouldn't have led with the Salamence, considering the fact that I did have the Melodic and I had the potential to lead with it. But she, smartly enough, just goes for... Oh, she doesn't lead with it. I thought she was going to lead with the Salamence. But, smartly enough, doesn't lead with the Salamence. Goes for the Gastrodon lead in case I did lead with the Melodic, and I really couldn't have done anything if I did lead with the Melodic. And I'm going to basically just go for a, I believe, a Spore Play right here onto the Sylveon. I needed to put it to sleep. It just would do so much damage. And I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice with my Gardevoir. Get a lot of good damage onto the Sylveon. And her Sylveon is going to go for a safe Hyper Voice right here. And then when I seen the damage output on my Gardevoir, I knew I was able to take at least 1 more Hyper Voice. And I really was debating on whether or not I should put these battles on YouTube, because they really are bad, guys. They really are. I was just so nervous, and I mean, like, I knew I wasn't going to do well in Top Cut, so I was saying to myself, hey, man, I went 5-0, but I shouldn't have done that, because I had the potential to go even further, so maybe next time, but I'm basically, I just continuously keep going, and, picking up my milestones as I go along, and I go for a Trick Room. Now, I was like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And I should have known from the last time I battled her, she had safety goggles on her freaking Rotom, so I shouldn't have done that, and the Rotom's going to get an overheat into the Amoonguss, which will KO it, and I got a Trick Room up with my Gardevoir, and I made both the Sylveon and the Rotom faster, so I was like, why did I do that? And when I was thinking about it at the time, I think, I was like, oh, okay, my Amoonguss will be faster than his Rotom. I'll put the Rotom to sleep. I'll KO the Sylveon, and then the Salamence will come in, and then I'll be faster than the Salamence with my Gardevoir. But then she had the Gastrodon in the back, so it didn't really make any sense. So the Gastrodon will come in right here, and yet again, I play into the Storm Drain shenanigans, and I go for a Scald onto the Sylveon. So I protected my Gardevoir right here. Did not want my Gardevoir to get KO'd. I know my Melodic could take plenty of Hyper Voices, and I go for the Scald yet again. If I would have went for the Ice Beam, I probably would have KO'd the Sylveon. I just wasn't playing very well. I wasn't playing very well. There was no excuse as to how I was playing. She went for the Scald into the Melodic. I think probably going for the Burn, which she does get and cover for switches. And she's going to go for a Hyper Voice. The Hyper Voice would have definitely KO'd. And it's going to KO my Melodic with the Burn. So this is a really, really bad match on my part. She pretty much did completely own me. And the Ice Beam, to add insult to injury, the Ice Beam does not even KO the Sylveon. Now, if I had a better choice for a Pokemon on my team, I probably wouldn't have put the Melodic. Considering the fact that I brought the Melodic a lot, but it didn't do too much without the competitive boost, and it only got the competitive boost, I believe, 2 times throughout the entire tournament. So at this point, I also make another huge mistake. I should have just forfeited, and I realized that after I protected, because now I showed her that I had Protect on my Landers. So, I don't know what I was doing, guys. I really was playing horribly. I think I was just so overwhelmed, the fact that I went 5-0, and the fact that, I was in Top Cut for the first time. I don't know. I did so bad, and the next match is no better. It's a little bit better, but it's really not that better because I still lost it. So I'm just going to get right into that next battle. Alright, this next battle, again, same opponent. This is the second match of a best of 3 in the top 8 against Lauren Schwegler. And she's going to bring... I didn't even see who she was going to bring. I think I was like, okay, she's probably going to go with the sand this time because she hasn't brought it yet against the 2 times that she did play me. So I was like, I think Kangaskhan would be a really good mon to bring right here because I can get a lot of low kicks off into the Excadrill and the Tyranitar. So I'm going to go for a fake out onto the Tyranitar because I kind of felt like this team composition would have it be Scarfed and the Excadrill would go for the Protect, which it actually does, so that she can preserve her Sash, which she didn't have on it. She actually had a Life Orb on it. So I go for the safe play, and I go for the Scold this time, praying that I would get a burn on this Tyranitar, because if I didn't burn it, it would cause so many problems for my team. But I do not get the burn. So I don't burn it. I do play that fairly well, though. I go for the fake out into the Tyranitar, and I get the Scold into the Tyranitar. If I burned it, I'd be in such a better position right now. So I'm like, shit, she's probably going to superpower with the Kangaskhan slot. So let me go into the Landorus right here, get Intimidate down on both of her physical attackers, and then, take a superpower. She doesn't go for that, though. She goes for a Iron Head into my Landorus, which was really good because I did a lot of damage to my my Landorus. And she double targets my Kangaskhan, which is really, really good on her part because both of those attacks would have knocked out my Kangaskhan. And right now, I go for a recover. She even asked me, why did I do that? And I was like, I honestly thought you were going to go for a Rock Slide Earthquake. And, at the time it made sense to me, but it doesn't make any sense at all after you think about it because my Kangaskhan was the biggest threat. I could have low-kicked either one of her Pokemon. So double targeting my Kangaskhan would have been the best option right there. So I shouldn't have recovered, and I should have just went for the Scold down onto the Tyranitar. But I went for the recover. I was like, okay, she's going to proc my Citrus Berry. She goes for an Earthquake. And then, I could recover it and then be a really bulky Melodic down on the field, but then yet again she has the Gastrodon in the back, so I'd only be able to use an Ice Beam, which probably wouldn't have done too much without the competitive boost, but I'd still been really physically bulky. Anyway, she's going to go for an Iron Head into my Landorus. I knew the Excadrill was going to be faster than my Landorus, considering the fact that the sand is up. So I go into my Mungus, get some Rocky Helmet damage onto the Excadrill, and I go for the Ice Beam into the Excadrill. Then yet again, as you see right here, the Ice Beams really aren't doing too much. I know it's not stab, but then yet again at the same time, Melodic really isn't that specially, offensive, and it's very bulky. It's just there to get off of, a lot of competitive Scolds and Ice Beams, but not with a Gastrodon down on the field. So, I went for a Protect with my Amoonguss right here, anticipating the Ice Beam into the Amoonguss, and she does just that, and I go for the Ice Beam into the Excadrill, obviously. It's the biggest threat on the field. I could kind of deal with the Gastrodon with my Kangaskhan, but I didn't want to lose my Amoonguss to an Ice Beam. Now, excuse me. I go for another Ice Beam. I really couldn't do anything right here. I could have switched in my Landorus in the Melodic slot, but it could have just... I don't know. I wasn't really thinking right. Because then I could have gotten an Intimidate down onto this Tyranitar, and then the following turn I could have got a free switch into my Kangaskhan. And I'd be in a pretty good position if I did that. Because I would have an Intimidated Tyranitar. It wouldn't have been able to OHKO my Kangaskhan. And I could have gotten at least like a return off into this Gastrodon before my Kangaskhan would have went down on the following turn. So I'm going to go for a Protect with Melodic. Yet again, I don't know why I did that. Probably just trying to prevent him from taking out my Melodic with, like, say, an Earth Power. But she does have the Ice Beam with the Tyranitar. And, you know what? I could have protected right there with my Landorus, and after the fact that I thought I should did that and went for an Ice Beam into the Tyranitar, even though I probably wouldn't have done anything, but I was like, I still don't know whether or not she's Scarfed. So I went for the safe play. I just went for the Earthquake right there, and that's why I protected with my Melodic. So I'm going to go for the Fake Out into the Gastrodon. Obviously, it was the biggest threat. And I'm going to go for an Ice Beam into the Tyranitar slot, which is now the Excadrill. That actually does a lot of damage right there. It does a lot of damage. So I could have went for the Sucker Punch in the following turn, but I kind of anticipated her to go for a Protect with her Excadrill. And then I went for a Return, I believe, onto the Gastrodon, because I was like, okay, if she protects with her Excadrill, I get a free damage down on this Gastrodon right here, and it can't KO me with a Scold. So if that happens, I get free damage, and the extra drill's not doing anything, and then I could sucker punch it. But she does go for the smart play. She goes for the Iron Head into the Kangaskhan, and she's going to go for a Scold, I believe, into the Kangaskhan right here. And Milotic's just sitting there, not doing anything. And my Kangaskhan lives with 1 HP, but the Sand is going to take it out. Her team was so good, it revolved all around Sand, and the Gastrodon was definitely the MVP on the team. And one of the judges was actually watching our match, and he was talking to me after the match, and he was like, "Oh man, like, you had such a good chance to win, and as soon as I seen you brought your Melodic for the 2nd time in a row, I was like, oh man, that's not a good idea." And then I said to him, I'm like, yeah, I'm an idiot. I fell for it every time. Every single match she brought the Gastrodon, I fell for it and went for a Scold onto her slots, and it gave it the Storm Drain ability boost. I was like, I'm such an ass. I am such an ass. I played like crap in the top 8. But hey, I made it into the top 8. It was my 3rd event I've ever went to. I went 5-3 at Massachusetts Regionals in spring. I went 2-3 in my last Premier Challenge, which was in Matawan last month in November, and I could have done so much better than that, but I made a lot of mistakes. I was very nervous. I was very nervous for this one. I played very, very well in Swiss, but not so much in top 8 as you just seen right there. So I'm pretty much, accomplishing everything that I want to accomplish in the past 3 events. I went to my first event, I just wanted to go positive, I went positive. And this event, I wanted to make top 8. I did that with a 5-0 record. I made top 8. Now, maybe, in the future, I want to win a Premier Challenge now, so maybe I'll win a Premier Challenge. I'm going to be going to plenty of events, so there's always that chance that they may have that given to me. But pretty much every single Premier Challenge that I go to, especially next week in Brooklyn, I just kind of want to make it into the top 8. Now that I know what top 8 is like, I will want to win it all. Anyway, guys, hopefully I'll have these battles for you next week, again, for the Premier Challenge in Brooklyn, New York. Peace!